Hi, welcome to AI4HR. This week we're going to be looking at automating the application and resume screening process. We shall be seeing how to get this work off our backs to allow us to focus as HR practitioners. And this exercise involves taking information from a job application form on Google Forms, exporting it to Google Sheets, and then using AI to shortlist and output the candidates that match a job description that has been uploaded. Welcome, and let's dive in this exercise. We shall start with a job application form. I hope you all know how to create an application form or a form with Google Forms. Go to forms.google.com or go to your Google Drive and create a new form that will allow you to design any job application form, which is subsequently linked to your Google Sheets, which I'll be showing you shortly. And then after that, we'll be able to step into our AI application and develop a pipeline or a workflow that kicks these applications, runs them through a screening process, and generates an output called a short list or a long list. For those who do not know how to create a form, you go to your Google Drive by typing drive.google.com. Once you're logged in, when you type that, you go to new and click new. And when you click new, you should be able to create a new form. Let's look at it this way. So I'll click new, bring a drop down list or menu, which allows you to create a form. You can say blank form. And when you create a blank form, we shall have that form that will be specifying what we shall be creating. So we want to save. I have Gemini in my Google Drive, so I can simply say create a job application form, and then I click create. So it is crafting questions. You could use that for with AI. It will give you phone number, the position, years of experience, skills, availability, etc. Or else you tailor one to what you want. If you don't have Gemini in your Google, you just create a form like this and keep asking different questions. Because I already created a form, we'll just go to the form that was already created, which is this job application form, whose link is available that you can download or you can copy and use it as your general job application form. Because this is HR tailored to recruitment, we look for names, we look for email addresses, we look for phone numbers, we look for years of experience. We tell the candidates to describe their work history in reverse chronological order, preferably copy and paste. Why are we asking them to fill this? So that it can be exported to Google Sheets, and then we'll be able to pick this information and use it in using the AI automation that screens resumes and applications. So if the job is looking for sector specific experience, the questions on sector specific experience are captured. It looks for qualifications. If we're going to look for what tools and technologies the person needs to be familiar with, we ask for those questions. We ask for what skills the person has that are relevant for the job, and then we ask the candidate to copy and paste their cover letter, and then they can also upload their resume. So for this session, we'll use the first approach where all the information is captured in an application form, and when it's captured in an application form, it's exported to Google Sheets, and then we'll pick from Google Sheets and run a workflow that automatically conducts the screening and gives us the top candidates as well as a long list. Now I have my job application form that I created and quickly described. When you want to specify how the responses will be collected in Google Drive, we simply say link it to a sheet, and then it will be linked to a sheet. Here we can say responses linked to sheets, and then it can create a spreadsheet which you can title, and then it will automatically save it to your Google Drive. I already created a Google Sheet that captures all the details, and so we shall look at this Google Sheet. And this Google Sheet already has some dummy data which we'll be eliminating or using for this exercise. and it has the timestamp, the name, the email address, the phone number, the years of experience, their work history. All the questions that we asked are quickly captured in this Google Sheets. Make sure you name your Google Sheets job application form, and one of the workbooks has a sheet called candidates and another has a sheet called shortlist. So we're going to use dummy data for these candidates and then run this through the AI and see whether it will generate a list of shortlisted candidates. Looking at the second tab, which is the shortlist, the AI will generate or extract the name, the email, the phone number, the years of experience, the work history, the person's exposure sector, the qualifications, the tools and technologies related to the job that they're applying for, the skills, the scores on the duties, where there is evidence, the score on the sector, the evidence on the sector, the qualifications and the score, the years of experience and the related score, the tools they use and the score, evidence of the tools. Everything should have a score and it should have evidence. As far as we are concerned as recruiters, you don't shortlist without evidence, and subsequently at the end of it should tell us what the total score is and how this person matches with the CV, what percentage match, and why we think this person is suitable for this job. So this is the other part of the spreadsheet, the Google Sheets that we'll be using. The first one will have the candidates, which really picks the information from the applications. I've removed the list of candidates because I was using a dummy list. And then the second one will have a short list that has been run through the AI. Now, for this particular lesson, we shall focus only on capturing the applications into a Google Forms, exporting these applications to Google Sheets, and then generating a shortlist with justifications and sending that shortlist to you, the recruiter, by email. In the next lesson, we'll probably extend this beyond just sending you a spreadsheet with a shortlist to generating a report, a summary report highlighting the process and the top 10, 5, or 20 candidates, depends on what you want. We shall take it up from there. Now let's dive into what happens in the building of an AI workflow that supports this entire process. So, welcome to your virtual recruiter or HR AI recruitment assistant, which we have developed. It will pick information from Google Sheets that was captured through the application form, run this through a process, having uploaded the job description to use, whose shortlisting criteria we shall use, and then run it through a workflow that screens each resume and posts or saves it onto another Google Sheets, highlighting the different scores and the rationale for ranking the specific candidates. The beauty about this is once you have your applications, even if they are 1,000, 100, or 10,000, you'll get this done in less than 5-10 minutes, and you'll have your shortlist with the high ranking or the top candidates as disaggregated with the poorly qualifying candidates, and in addition, a rationale. Then this can be used to write your shortlisting report, which we shall definitely auto-generate in the next lesson. But this time around, we're just going to focus on building a recruitment assistant. And if you want this kind of pipeline in your HR work, drop me a message in the school community. We are running a school community called AI4HR Nexus, and the link shall be shared with you shortly. You can also follow me on my YouTube channel, Coach Andy, and let's get this work done and focus on more strategic work as HR practitioners. So, to recap, a person will fill this job application form. When it is filled, it will be captured in Google Forms with these details, and then we will take this information into vectorshift and use a job description, which is here, that we shall upload into vectorshift that it shall generate a shortlist and then come up with a shortlisting report. This is what we're going to be doing. Okay, let's move to this exercise. So we're going to run this pipeline. We shall take from this job description, which you shall upload shortly. The AI will look at each resume against this job description. We've used a dummy HR manager role, which I picked from one of the job boards. And then it will look at the key responsibilities, check if every resume matches this. It will look at the sector to see if every resume matches this. It will look at the required skills, experience, knowledge areas, technology knowledge, and language proficiency. And then it will tell us at the end of the day which candidate matches this profile. How will it tell us? It will tell us the pass of the candidate we are screening, the email, phone number, and the tools, the skills, the duties, how the duties match, and what evidence there is, what scores there are, and finally gives us a total score and the match between the person and the job description and the criteria. And it will give us a reason for all the candidates. Let's see this in action. So this is going to be what we're going to do in vectorshift. I'll just deploy a patch right now and then click run just for purposes of demonstrating. When I say run, I'll upload the job description and I look for HR manager advert. I open and upload it, and then I'll click run. And let's see what happens in the folder here shortly. Give it a few moments and see what will happen, because we already have dummy data for the candidates. These are the candidates that applied, that we have used, whose data we have used to fill the application forms, and then the shortlist shall be generated, and there it is. You already have 21, 20 candidates screened, and they've told us their name, their email address. It lists their qualifications, their skills. It scores them, gives evidence for the duties they've carried in relation to the duties on the job description. It gives evidence on the sector, but there is no candidate who demonstrated familiarity with the sector in the job description, which is printing and publishing. And then the qualifications, and then it shows you the years of experience with the score. It shows you the tools experience they have with HR tools in this case and the score. It shows you the skills that we're looking for, and then it gives you a total score, and then it gives you a percentage mark. In addition, it gives you the reason. Now you can export this file to your email and start working from there. Or you can take it to the next level with AI, which we shall be doing in the subsequent weeks. But as we speak right now, I can have a job advert and have a Google Forms field, and I can have the application submitted, and I can already generate a shortlist in under 5 minutes, irrespective of the number of applications. Let's now go into this vector shift pipeline and see what happens step by step. So we're going to be using a platform called vectorshift.ai, www.vectorshift.ai. It's a very easy no-code tool that we can use to build AI apps and workflows. You don't need to host it anywhere. It is self-hosted. You don't need to have an OpenAI API key, depending on the number of operations you're going to be carrying out, or if how many times you're going to be using APIs for OpenAI. And you have very many different um, LLMs you can call in, very many different integrations. So to go through this, we shall get started. Click the button Get Started. If you already have an account, you can log in. If you do not have, create one. The first account is free, and you can create a pipeline using the first free account. So we're going to do login. It will take us to the dashboard. At the dashboard here, we're going to create what we call workbooks. The workbook allows us to pull together different workflows. In VectorShift, workflows are called pipelines. So when you hear me saying pipelines, you know I'm talking about a workflow. In Make, it's called a scenario, and in NA10, it's called a workflow. So we're going to build a workflow, a new one, and we're going to call it CV, I'll call it AI for HR, for HR CV um, analyst. And we shall start from scratch, and we shall call this our first pipeline will be called AI for HR CV analyst. Okay, so we shall create a workbook, and within the workbook there will be a pipeline. So this is the dashboard we have in vectorshift that allows us to start building our automations and our AI automations and workflows and pipelines. Let's see how we get from here to beginning to creating the recruitment shortlisting assistant. So we have a dashboard. Let's reflect. What we wanted to do was we get resumes that have been captured, applications that have been captured on a Google Sheets. We upload a job description. We run an AI large language model that checks these job descriptions. It checks these applications against the job description that we have and creates or updates an Excel or Google Sheets with information having screened these roles. So we'll start with a node. These items that you have under the menu are called nodes. You can have nodes under start, nodes under objects, nodes under AI, nodes under integrations, nodes under logic, and nodes under chat. As you can see, we shall start with an input, and the input shall be a job description. Okay, so we'll type here job description, and then we pick our file from Google through integrations, Google Sheets. You go to the menu item integrations, you go to Google Sheets, you click drag and drop, and then we'll be telling it to read from Google Sheets. What shall it be reading? Remember, now Google Sheets, we had a list of names and candidates, a dummy list. So it will pick from this Google Sheets. You have to go to your Google Drive and point it to this Google Sheets. Our Google Sheets is called job application form. The workbook is called job application forms, and the Google Sheet is called candidates. So our AI is going to read from this sheet. We select that sheet and we specify which file. It will open your Google Drive, and then we will look for this called job application form, which is a spreadsheet, and then we shall select who the candidates are. Once we are done, we are ready. It will bring the outputs that we want. What are we looking for, and what shall we be picking? These are the outputs we shall be looking at. The outputs are akin to what we saw in the Google form. If you remember, I can just pull up the form, the job application form. The first item was name, first name and last name, email, phone number, years of experience. If we go to our Google Sheets in vectorshift, it will show you a timestamp, email address, name, email, phone number, years of experience, work history in reverse chronological order. Please describe your work history. So it is automated. You really don't have to do much. It just picks the information as outlined in your Google Sheets. Let's see what else we will need to do when we go ahead. So next thing we have to do is run each candidate's resume through an AI LLM and make sure it matches to the job description that you've uploaded and outputs the rationale for ranking, the score, the matching with the job description and shortlisting criteria, and the ranking of the individual against other candidates. You would say, we want to do this very quickly. Let's run all these names through one AI. But the best practice in vectorshift, for example, is you create a workflow that runs through one resume, produces the output, and then you come and make that workflow be repeated across each and every individual resume in the spreadsheet. So here we shall rename our Google Sheets candidate. We'll just call it applications. So applications we shall have applications generated, which shall be read from our Google Sheets. They'll run through an LLM, and that LLM will provide an output, which shall be specifying, in this case, the output shall be the shortlist. It will tell us what the score of the candidate is on their duties and responsibilities, what evidence it has read through the person's application to reach to arrive at that score. It will also tell us what sector experience or exposure, whether it is linked. It will also tell us whether the qualifications are related to what is in the job description. It will also tell us whether the years of experience related to the job description, the tools they've used, whether they're related to HR managers' jobs, whether there is evidence of skills and the score, and then it will give us a total score and a match percentage, and then it will give us the reason. Um, let's go back to vectorshift and see how this works. So remember we created a workbook. The workbook was called AI for HR CV Analyst, and within it, it created a pipeline. It's almost like Excel. Each workbook has can have multiple pipelines. Create a new pipeline within this workbook, and we shall name it later, but we are going to walk through the process of reviewing one resume at a time. And then when we've done this, we go back to our CV analyst and tell the CV analyst to do this multiple times for as many CVs as there are in the Google Sheets. Let's start. So we shall rename our pipeline, and we shall call this pipeline within the workbook AI for HR CV Matcher, for lack of a better word. It will work for now. So this CV matcher is supposed to look at all these details that the person has captured in their application form that were posted to Google Sheets, and then use this information, run through a set of AI instructions, and generate an output that shows whether this candidate matches or not. So we'll need a number of inputs. What did we have as inputs in the application form? We had inputs like name, email, phone number, years of experience. We'll pick them one by one and create them as inputs here. So this will be name, and then I'll create another one, which is email. We may not need them, but let's work with what we have. Another input was phone. Why are we capturing this? In the near future, when we want to reach out to individuals and we want to use an AI caller, it will have all these details captured. So we had name, we had email, we had phone number, we have years of experience, and we have work history. So we'll capture all this information, name, phone, years of experience. We will have that, and then we continue creating more inputs. What other input will the AI need? It will need to see the candidate's work history. What else will it need to see among the inputs that we had? There are quite a number, but being HR practitioners, we know the relevance of each. After work history, sector exposure, and then qualifications. So we shall continue capturing sector exposure as an input, and then we shall also capture qualifications as an input. So there'll be many inputs that will be looked at by the AI. Qualifications as an input, and then what else are we looking at? Tools and technologies, and then relevant skills. Okay, and then the cover letter. So tools, technologies, relevant skills, and the cover letter. Let me add those as inputs, and then we see how far we can go. Uh, tools and technologies. In addition to tools and technologies, we had skills, relevant skills, and then cover letter. Relevant skills, cover letter. So we'll call this relevant skills, and then we shall have one last input, which we shall call cover letter. So all these inputs are supposed to go into an LLM for it to look at, because all this information is coming from the candidate's application. The candidate will fill the application saved in Google Sheets, and then we pick this information from Google Sheets, feed it into an LLM with a set of instructions to rank and score the candidates against the criteria. Oh, we forgot to add one thing, because it will need the job description, or in this case, you could have a shortlisting criteria. And the format is supposed to be a file, or you could capture it as text. For this case, we shall just say, let's be uploading the job description. job description. So it will take this job description, it will look at all these things the candidates have entered, and then it will be able to rank, assess, analyze, and match them to the job description or shortlisting criteria, depending on what you want to use. So all this information shall be passed through an AI. We shall use OpenAI LLM, and we shall call this matcher, candidate screener. I mean, you can name it anything. For now, we shall call it screener. Now, you must write instructions to the AI, and I'll just copy and paste the instructions that I've written before, and we shall come and see what next as we continue. So we have the LLM who's that is going to take instructions that we're going to give it. I had instructions written, and I'm just going to copy and paste them into the LLM's system instructions. What does this mean? We are specifying what the LLM should be doing, and then giving it tasks, telling it what it should rate each candidate or each resume, excuse me, against, and then be able to specify what output we shall be getting. So we say you are an impartial HR talent matching engine. You could say person or specialist, whatever. And we say return only valid JSON that exactly follows the schema provided. Don't worry about JSON. We shall come back to it shortly. We are saying, we are telling the AI, use the following to make the assessment. Use the candidate name, their experience, their work history, their sector exposure, their qualifications, tools and technologies, skills, and cover letter. What are the tasks that the LLM should carry out? It should extract from the job description all the stated duties, KRAs or key result areas, required sector, it should extract the required qualifications, it should extract the minimum years, it should extract the required tools, the required skills. Where there is no information, it should state no information. And then we say score every criterion, which criteria or a criterion that it has extracted 0 to 5 using the following guidance. Rubric is guideline. 0 for no evidence. If it finds evidence, which is 1 for weak evidence, 3 for partial evidence, and 5 for a strong direct match, then quote precise evidence, a maximum of 50 words per evidence field. You could tell it 100 words if you want, but that will give you a bigger report, but more detail. So here we can say 50 or 100, and then we'll tell it to compute the total score for all the criteria and provide an overall match percentage in the match percentage field, and then additionally output a summary of reasoning from the precise evidence generated on why they are a fit in the reason field. And then we tell it to output it as a single JSON object schema. So this will be our system instructions to the AI, OpenAI, but under the prompt, we have to specify what is it going to be looking at. And to do this, we have to go into each of the inputs that we made and link them to LLM. How do we do this in vectorshift? You can use double curly brackets. It will bring you the list of the inputs that you could capture or the nodes that can be linked to this LLM. And we said it should use the candidate's name. The name comes out as a text, and we were supposed to label this. So let me just go back and label this as candidate name. So the LLM will say what you called name is what I'll pick from this node that is labeled name. It will read the name. It has understood that I'm telling it to read the name, or it will understand that I'm telling it to read the name. It should also look at years of experience. We call it experience, and it will, we say, enter double curly brackets. Let's move this and see if we can get a clearer. So experience gives us years of experience as text. This LLM reads text. We talked about work history. It should look at work history. Again, we link it to the inputs that we will be picking from the applicant's application form. And then we are talking about sector exposure. Exposure it should see what the sector exposure is. We scroll here and select the text that it talks about as sector exposure. Then we talk about qualifications. It should read and see whether the qualifications match the person's resume, the job description. And then after qualifications, we had tools and technologies. And then we enter curly brackets. It will bring a drop down menu. You select tools and technologies and text. And then we select skills. And we say when you go to the Excel Google Sheets, you select the skills and where are the relevant skills there. You read that and you also do that assessment and rank. And then we also told it to look at cover letter. And we shall call this cover letter. So what will our AI do? It will look at all these things to screen them, but against what? Remember, we had job description. So it screens them against the job description. And here we enter, let us see job description text. Okay. So as you can see, all these nodes are now linked to the LLM and it will produce an output. So what does the output look like? We create an output node which shall allow us to see what the output of this it will allow us to see the output of the LLM from the candidate screener and it will show us what that response is. Now you can test this and see as we speak right now. It can be tested to see whether it will work for us. And we can say deploy. If it says it is a successful deployment, it means we are ready to test this on a single candidate CV or application. Yes, I need to specify the job description is supposed to be a file, not a text. So we shall say file, and then we update the LLM instruction to say that job description, as far as we're concerned, is processed text from the file. Okay, so there we are. We are ready to see how this will run. We're going to start by running it and inputting dummy information. What's my phone number? I'll just give it a crazy, my business number. And then we see what's my work history, 25 years in HR with and management consulting. And yes, I think that is more than enough. It may not be adequate. Years of experience, work history in okay. With organizations, MSH, ActionAid, World Bank, name it, all customs, organization, etc., etc. Just for purposes of demonstration, 25 years experience, sector exposure, public, private, telecom, financial services, ICT, information and communication technology, which other one? Agriculture, which other one? There are so many. We can leave them at that. International development, intergovernmental organizations. So we can say relevant skills, HR planning, strategy, recruitment and selection. What else can we add? Compensation and benefits, management, restructuring, coaching, change management. I've listed a number. Tools and technologies, Workday, Bamboo, HR, PeopleSoft, Zoho, People, Microsoft Dynamics, Canva, IBM SPSS, AP Info, AII make.com n8 n.io. What else? Plus anything else. Then name is going to be coach and then cover letter. This is to express interest in the position of human resources manager. I bring to your organization 25 years of experience working in the public, private, and not for profit sector. Competent in restructuring, strategy, HR policy, uh, HR reporting, performance management, learning and development. What else do we have? Disciplinary management, compensation and benefits management, etc., etc. We'll continue. So that's a cover letter. Email will be Andy at coachandy.com. Qualifications, psychology. So those are the details. I'm trying to see where we are supposed to upload the job description. Did we link the job description? Okay. So somewhere we didn't, did we link the job description? Job description is here. Okay, so, oh yes, upload file. So I go to the file to upload, I pick the human resource manager advert and upload it. It will go onto the pipeline and then we can say run. Let's run this pipeline and see what happens. So as we run the pipeline, it will show us what is happening, how much time is being spent on each node. For those of us who want to calculate the cost of the things that we are doing, the AI operations that we are having, this trace view is very good at showing us the progress of each element of the pipeline. So what it's doing is it's matching this dummy input that I have given it to the job description that I shared with us earlier that is we've just uploaded, and it's telling me what are the outputs. Okay, so it has listed all these key result areas from the job description as an output. It shows us the sector is printing industry. It shows that it requires a bachelor's degree. It shows that it needs software. It needs applicant tracking systems. It shows that we should be able to use Google Drive or Microsoft SharePoint. So it says required skills, speaking, management of personnel resources, judgment and decision making. And then it starts saying what are the criteria. Evidence for the criteria for duties and carries, 25 years in HR management, I scored 5. For sector score, it shows I had 3 because my sector exposure did not reflect the printing industry that this job wants. It gave me required qualifications, master's degree, HR organizational psychology exceeds the bachelor's degree. It gave me a 5. Number of years minimum was 5. It gave me 5 because the evidence is that I said I have 25 years. And then for required tools, it gave 5 because the evidence it says I'm proficient in Workday, Bamboo HR, PeopleSoft, Zoho People, etc. Required skills score 5. Skills include HR planning, strategy, recruitment, etc. Maximum score is total score is 28. Maximum score is 30. Match percentage 93. Coach Andy is a highly experienced HR professional with 25 years in diverse sectors, advanced qualifications, and strong proficiency in HR tools. While lacking direct printing industry experience, their background in private sector and HR management is a strong fit for the role's requirements. So that's a summary of a screening for one candidate. We shall come back and see now how do we make this run for 100, 1,000, 10,000 different applicants. Again, back to us. If you're interested in this service for your organization, reach out to me at andy@coachandy.com or a.rob@p4tunes.com, which is the branch that we're using for AI automations. And we can set this up for you so you never have to worry about hiring a recruitment agency to do shortlisting for you. For recruitment agencies, if you want to quicken your recruitment process, this is it. This is something like we can deploy for you in a very short time, or you can learn from this video. If you want to get details and support, join the school community and the link shall be shared with you shortly. So let's come back to why were we using JSON schema. JSON is used to structure data such that the output is easily readable across different platforms. What the tag is called interoperability. So the JSON output would allow us to export this information into different applications and capture it in a structured format without losing any data. Now you could create or go to ChatGPT and ask it to create for you a schema for JSON schema using these inputs like years of experience, work history, sector exposure, qualifications, tools and technologies, relevant skills, and things like that. But I've already done that for us. How do we capture this JSON schema? The JSON schema shall be provided in a text document that you can copy and paste and include. If you want to build this on your own, you go to open settings and then you select JSON output. And then here is where I'll just give you the JSON schema that was created, which is to specify and structure the data that will be outputted by the LLM, uh, or sent out by the LLM. So I'll just do that. You'll find this JSON available for you, but you can also generate it very easily using ChatGPT by writing a prompt that says create for me this schema that has these elements. And then you copy it and paste it in your OpenAI LLM. After that, we deploy this and see uh, whether it is successful. Now that it is successful, then we shall specify, we shall take this out, the output, we shall take out the output because it already gave us JSON output, and we shall specify which elements we shall be able to read from the candidate screener. How do we do this? We are going to use JSON ops, a node called JSON ops. This all allows us to read the JSON values, and we shall select read JSON values. Where does it read the text from? It reads the text from the LLM. How do you click and drag it, and then you either type curly brackets or you just drag and drop candidate screener, and we shall look at the response. Remember, the output of the LLM is coming out as JSON, so it shall start reading one by one of the things that we are looking out for. And what is it that we are looking out for? We are looking out for um, different elements of the screening results. Okay, so the screening result is very different, and so we shall have what we call one key it shall read for us is, just check through the schema here, you'll see we have candidate name, it should read that. What else will it read for us? It should read experience in years. It should also read work history. It should also read, I'm looking at it from the schema in the LLM, sector exposure. It should also read for us qualifications. You keep adding the keys until you have all of them. Qualifications. Then it will also read for us tools and technologies. And then it will also read this, if we capture skills, after tools and technologies, we have skills. So all these will be outputs that we'll be able to transfer to another application. It can be Airtable, it can be Excel, it can be Google Sheets. So let's keep capturing them until we are done. We had the duties score. We had duties evidence. We have, what is the 10th key? It's reading sector score. It will read sector evidence. That's this another one. We have qualification score. Qualification score. We have qualifications evidence. Then we have experience years score. We add experience years evidence. We continue with that till we get to the last one. So I have to keep adding all these keys. We did qualification score, qualifications evidence, experience years score, experience years evidence, tools score, tools evidence, tools score, add key, tools evidence. So again, this is a little bit more robust. That's why we're going through it. Skills score, because for HR practitioners, we need evidence. And if we don't provide evidence and you're taken, you're sued for not shortlisting with adequately, at least you'll have a rationale for each score and the evidence that you got from the CV. Then we have total score, and then we have match percentage, and then we have reason. So all these are keys, 22 different entries that we shall use, okay? And that will help us to understand or to pick the information that is coming out of an assessment of somebody's resume. So we have our JSON values done. Then we have to create outputs for each of these elements such that once the CV has been matched, it can take these outputs and export them to Excel or Google Sheets. So we'll have to go back to our start and create the equivalent number, which is 22 outputs. It can be linked to the JSON value. So I'll just do this and come back when we've finished capturing the 22. So we'll go through the painstaking process of naming our outputs. And remember, we have candidate name. If you look at the node on the right, which is the one that was reading the JSON values, we'll have experience in years. Our third output is work history. The fourth output is sector exposure. I'll add an S because there are two outputs. We have qualifications. Those are 5. Then after qualification, we have tools and technologies. Then after tools and technologies, we have skills. We shall call it skill. After skills, we have duties, score. After duties, score, let's move this up. What do we have? Duties evidence. After duties evidence, we have sector score, and then we have sector evidence. Then we have qualification score, and we have qualification evidence. And the next output was or will be experience years score, and the other one will be experience years evidence. Then we will have the next one, which is tools score and tools evidence. So to capture this output, you simply double click, and then we have skills score, and then we have skills evidence. And then we have total score and match percentage and reason as an output. What is the percentage match and the rationale, which we shall call reason. So all these have to be linked to the JSON such that it outputs for each of them the specific value. Okay, so remember to link it, we have to pick the candidate name is coming from read JSON values. Let's rename this. Let's rename this. We'll call it JSON splitter because it's splitting the JSON, sorting the JSON values. But let's just use a name that will be easily recognizable. I hope, yes, it's called JSON splitter. So here we shall just scroll down when we've opened the curly brackets and say read. What will it read from JSON values? JSON, it will read the candidate's name. So we'll do this for all these other elements. We look for JSON splitter and we say read experience in years, output that. Okay, experience in years. It didn't capture work history, but I can recapture. Work history. Name it work history A because there's already a variable or a node with the name work history. Then we get JSON splitter and look for work history, select it. We'll do that for the others until we've captured everything. Sector exposure, we go to our JSON splitter and pick the value that is relating to sector exposure. And then for qualification, we again go to JSON splitter, select the item that relates to qualifications. So all these will be output as specific um, variables or items that are used to describe the candidate. So we had tools and technology, and our JSON splitter will pick the tools and technologies. Tools and technologies was somewhere right here. Okay, I'm gonna have to move this. We had tools and technology, then we pick from the JSON splitter again, skill. And what are we looking for after tools and technology? We're looking for skills, and then we go to the scoring now. What were the outputs of the score on duties? And then we ask what was the output on the evidence that it used that has been reflected in the JSON splitter, duties evidence. And then we go to the sector, same story. And the beauty about doing this over and over is you will be able to remember. Okay, next is sector evidence until we finish all the 22 entries. Now, for some people, this looks like a lot of work, but after you've done this, you will not need to ever come back and write, go through a process of recruitment through the manual way. This is automated once. You may have peaks here and there, but that's it. You'll recruit 1,000, 10,000 people using a pipeline that is akin to this, thanks to AI. Qualification score we are capturing, and then qualification evidence until we get all the outputs. So I'll come back to us when we've now gotten all the outputs and have linked them together, and then we can pick on what next. So we're done with capturing the outputs from the assessment of one resume or application. Again, this pipeline, this workflow is showing the process through which we can automate to saving to Google Sheets, to automating the screening, to producing a shortlist without having to look through the entire list of, say, 500 or 1,000, or without even having to outsource a third party organization. We have tried to make the screening robust enough for us to see that we capture very pertinent aspects of the resume or an application, and that includes the name, the experience, the work history, sector exposure, the qualifications, tools, technologies for the job, skills, and then the scores that we'll be getting through the assessment from AI for the duties, the sector, the qualifications, the experience, the tools, and the skills, as well as the total score and percentage of the match with the job, as well as the rationale or reason. Now that we have this, we can successfully run an assessment of one resume. In order to make it possible to run more than one, we have to now go back to our CV analyst at the bottom left corner of our workbook, and we load the CV analyst. What will the CV analyst be able to do? The CV analyst is supposed to conduct this exercise and loop it across all the different CVs that we have. Okay, so let's see how this goes. Our CV analyst is here. We had a job description and we had applications. In the other pipeline, which is AI4HR CV matcher, we have pipeline, so we shall connect this pipeline to this Google Sheets. We want this assessment of a resume to run throughout Google Sheets. What was the pipeline's name? We pick the pipeline node from the objects menu. Yes, and it's here. I've just picked and dropped it. And here we say the pipeline is AI for HR CV match. So this is the guy that puts together the matching of the CV. Okay. We call this pipeline in our list of pipelines, and it will bring all the entries that we have. Now we have entries in the Google Sheets for cover letter. We have entries in the Google Sheets for, let me hope there's cover letter here, name, email, copy, paste. Yes, there's cover letter. So everything is captured here. We will have a job description as well, and the job description is also going to be variable. So remember what we said, if you want to connect nodes, you can use the curly brackets, which will give us the information we need. So we'll pick the cover letter from the applications, which is a Google Sheets element, and which was talking about please copy and paste your cover letter. We'll pick the email from the Google Sheets, and the Google Sheets that had our email is there. I'll take application's email, which I'll come to the job description shortly. Under name, we shall go to Google Sheets and pick the name. All these will be captured and entered into the pipeline that is assessing one resume at a time or one application at a time. Phone, we had a phone contact. In applications, what is the timestamp? So we have a phone number. It will all be captured as inputs in the pipeline. Remember the previous pipeline we were writing, we were capturing very many inputs, and these are the inputs that are now beginning to show. Work history, qualifications are reflected. So what the pipeline will be doing is it will be picking all this information from relevant skills. It will be picking this information from the Google Sheets where the application was deployed. So we'll look for in the Google Sheets sector exposure. Again, for sector exposure, we said which sectors have you worked in, and then we continue with this for tools and technologies. It will read from the Google Sheets and tell us what tools and technologies are relevant. And then for work history, it will again point it to Google Sheets and tell us your work history in reverse chronological order. And then, of course, for what years of experience, we go back to our Google Sheets and see years of experience. And this is now captured in our analyst. So the CV analyst is saying, or this pipeline is simply telling us, read from Google Sheets, capture all this information that we had, and take it into the pipeline called the CV matcher, AI4HR CV matcher. So it will match the contents that it picks from each of these Google Sheets rows, runs it through the pipeline. Now we have to go through a process of running through each one of them because the CV matcher is running one CV at a time. So we have to make this run repetitively across the different numbers of CV. Now, in order for us to do that, we have to enable what we call a list, make it run like a list. So you see on the pipeline node, there's an arrow that minimizes the node. Then there's an arrow that seems to show or points towards enabling list node. Maybe I could zoom in and let you see it clearly. Here we go. There is enable list node. We'll click that. And that means it will run through each and every application that is on Google Sheets, and it will until it completes all of them. So in order to continue with this, there are some actions we have to do. Remember, we didn't capture the job description, which is a file that we'll have uploaded for it to look at in order to generate some sort of ranking to compare against the applications. I'll walk you through this process of how do we make this run across multiple CVs or multiple applications, and then we'll be done. So we're on a final lap almost of getting our recruitment assistant up and running, or a shortlisting assistant or CV analyst up and running. The last part is really to specify or let the AI or the pipeline know that you should run this screening not on one CV or one application, but on many applications. How do we do this? We ask it to, or we specify the condition that it should run the pipeline over a whole list in outlined in the Google Sheets. So we're going to look at this. How do we make the job description also look like a list to the AI? Because it has to read the job description every time it is looking through each application. We shall go to data and select list ops as a node, and then we shall say duplicate list. What do we want? It want it to duplicate the job description every time it is going to screen the job description. So here we shall name this duplicate list as JD, which is for job description duplicator, which will make our life easy to remember. That's why I like naming nodes such that you know what you're linking to. And then we want it to match a list that is in Google Sheets. So we shall select Google Sheets. What is the name of our Google Sheets? The name of our Google Sheets was called application. So we look for applications, and we can say match the list that is in names. So every time there is a name in Google Sheets, it will pick a job description, a copy of the job description, and match it and see if that job description can now be used to assess the applications that have been saved on Google Sheets. Now, this duplicate list will now go into our job description in the pipeline, which then becomes, which is now reflected here. Sorry, I need to search the nodes and call it JD duplicator. So we shall have a file, it shall do processed text, and then it shall be output here as a copy of the job description. I want to link this to the pipeline, place it under job description, and it is saying I need to change something. I just need to check very clearly whether I'm working with the right output. Oh, yes. So instead of outputting processed text, I should output job description file rather than processed text. Okay. Instead of processed text, I should output file, and then I have this as a file. Let me come back to us shortly and see if we can resolve this. Text, job description, text, and then here, get this sorted. Yes, so I'm supposed to specify that it takes the file, not text. Job description duplicates the file, and so we shall take this job description and make sure we have a file in our list. Sorry. So our output here shall be a file type called job description, and that will be the file that we'll be taking. And then in our job description here, we shall also take a file. I need to check and see whether we have the right one. Yes, we shall pick job description and take the file, and then that file shall be input here from the job description duplicator, which will be its output. So we have our pipeline ready. Our analyst is almost ready with one more step to go. The step that is pending is sending these outputs into our Google Sheets. When it's done running through each of the applications, it will send the result to Google Sheets. So we have to go back to our integrations and remember the Google Sheets we created. We had a Google Sheet that was called job applications candidates and then job application shortlist. So this shortlist is what we shall see, we shall select to capture the information that has been run through the pipeline. So what will it do? It will add a new row. We select add a new row. You go and sign into your Gmail. You can sign in with Google. I already have a couple of email connections, integrations. So you select the file you want to integrate, and our file was called job application Google Sheet. So let's look at job application form, and that is it, job application form shortlist. And then we confirm the selection. It will bring the fields that we map to the outputs. Remember, we had 22 different outputs. So We've called this duplicator. We've called this the CV matcher. We've called this the job description. We've called the other sheets applications. And so we shall call this Google Sheets node long list and short list. This is what will come out for us as the key output from Google Sheets. So we're going to link all these inputs to what is coming out of the pipeline, which is the CV matcher. The CV matcher will give us candidate name, evidence of duties, experience, match percentage, qualification. It is structured alphabetically, but it will be deployed to the different cells in the Google Sheets as we have structured it. So for the name, we shall select CV matcher, candidate name, and we shall go through the 22 different fields doing the same. CV matcher is their email here. So the email will not be in the candidate matcher. It will probably be in the applications, and we shall take email. Phone number will also be in the applications, but it can also be in the candidate matcher's output. Years of experience, we shall pick the candidate matcher and we pick experience years. Work history, remember, why are we picking this one from the candidate matcher? Because it has done an analysis, okay? And it has given us an idea of what the person's work history is, what the sector exposure is. We want it to do an analysis, not necessarily copy and paste. So we shall be using the outputs of the pipeline that was screening one by one resume up to the one that does multiple resumes, multiple applications. Qualifications, again, candidate matcher, we go and see qualifications. Tools and technologies, candidate matcher, we ask what are the outputs as far as tools and technologies are concerned. Tools and technologies, experience, qualification, sector, tools, evidence, tools, score. Okay, yes, tools and technologies is down there. Then we have skill, and then we go back to candidate matcher and we see if we've gotten skills. Skill is right here until we get everything. Now we're going to the score. It should be able to capture the scores that we have for duties, duties score. Then we do duties evidence. AI4HR CV matcher, where is duties evidence? Duties evidence is here, which means it will deploy to the Google Sheets the evidence of the fact that this person's resume is linked to the other, it has evidence to show what is required in the job description. We go to sector score and we map it. We map also sector evidence. Sector evidence. All this information, once outputted by the LLM, will go and be saved in Google Sheets. Qualification score. We see whether the person will have qualifications needed. Qualifications evidence, same story. CV matcher, qualifications evidence, years of experience, score, same process until you map all the elements. Like we called it experience years score, and then experience years evidence. Where is that? CV matcher, experience years evidence, tools score, CV matcher. We go back and see whether there's tools score. Yes. I hope I didn't capture total. Then we look for the evidence that this person is familiar with the tools as provided by the CV. Remember, we are looking for evidence from the CV at this moment. Skills score, I looked at AI for HR CV matcher, and I look for skills score and do the same for the evidence of the skills as found on the CV. Skills evidence. Then we do the last three, which is total score from the CV matcher. What did we tell us the total score was? Total score and how this person or individual or resume matches with the job description, match percentage, and gives us a reason. And where is the reason? explanation or narrative, it's there. So our workflow is done. We are almost ready to deploy. You click deploy changes and you say deploy. It should give you a success at the bottom right, bottom left corner, and you're good to go. You have your resume analyzing pipeline or workflow using AI. That means if you hire me today as your HR or head of HR or HR director, will not do recruitment the same way. So if you learn this as an HR practitioner, you have a tool and the skills to generate an AI shortlister. We can extend this further by creating a trigger that will make it email this list of shortlisted candidates to you via email through this very same application. But I think in the next week or two, we should do an automation that now looks at the shortlisted candidates and generates a recruitment report. But now that we've tested this, let's see if we can run this pipeline. I'm going to clear the Excel sheet that had all the candidates. Candidates, we selected, created a dummy list of candidates that we could use. And these are the names, and we have a short list, which I'll clear and empty just for purposes of testing this again. I'll select all this and delete it because we did the introduction while we're trying to run this together. So we have an empty cell in our job application form in the shortlist, and we have a list of dummy candidates who have submitted their applications through the form, the application form. What we're going to do in VectorShift is to now test this pipeline and select the job description, which was the same. We said human resource manager job description, which we have selected, and then we say we have uploaded this. We just say run because it is going to read from the Google Sheets that has the dummy information, and then it will run and output this in the Google Sheets that has the space for the shortlisted candidates. In the next week, I'll just quickly provide an automation that allows you to just receive the updated shortlist via email. And of course, if you're a recruiter and you want this, this is where you can simply say, I want to run this. I upload the job description. I point you to the application form. And then for me, I just want to receive the shortlisted candidates or extend it further as a recruitment agency, utilsolutions.com. You tell us we hire for you candidates with a quick turnaround time at less than 50% of the normal costs that recruiters give you. So if you have a recruitment gig, here we are for you. Let me click run and we see how this goes. I'm going to quickly run to the shortlist and see how it will be updated. If it if all goes well and our pipeline is running effectively, we should have this updated shortly. If it doesn't, it will mean we have to go back and tweak our outputs for the one of the two pipelines, either the CV matcher or the CV analyst. Now let's see how long it takes. We should be able to tell. Yes. If there are any questions, feel free to ask. If you need any support, if you want to deploy this in your organization, link up with us. If you want to improve your turnaround time for recruitment, give us a shout. We should definitely be able to come back to you. This normally takes 3 to 5 minutes before we are good to go. But let's see if there are any errors. Otherwise, right now it is showing us that the service is still running. From the bottom right, you can see pipeline is still running, and the services that are completed, it shows which ones are completed. And here we are. So far, we have some things that have been outputted. Let's go to the job shortlist. The candidates are here. This is the candidates. The shortlist is not yet populated. Now that we have our pipeline ready, we are going to give it a test run and see whether our HR AI shortlisting assistant is up and about to run. So we'll go and upload the job description, human resource manager advert, and we'll also quickly check and see that our job applications are blank. The shortlist is blank, and this is the spreadsheet on Google Sheets for the shortlist, and we shall click run in our pipeline and see how far we go. It will take a bit of time, but if once that happens, we should be able to get a shortlist generated for us. So we're going to watch this and see what the outcome is, and hopefully we have our shortlist ready. The beauty is the job app. Yeah, there you go. We have about 20 of the dummy CVs reviewed, and we also have the outputs clearly generated by AI. So, what we can do now is let me wrap all these texts and see what the simple output for each candidate looks like. We'll not go through each of the candidates, but we'll be able to look and see whether this is something we can work with. So I go here and do wrapping of text, and I say wrap. So look at Johnson. Alex Johnson, it tells us this is his email, this is his phone contact. He has his 2 years of experience. He's an HR generalist in manufacturing and retail. All these are picked from his application. They scored him a 5, which is the highest mark. Because of this evidence, he has served as a link between management and employees, handled questions and resolved work-related problems. He has limited exposure as far as the sector is concerned, the printing industry, but he has the qualification with a bachelor's degree. He has at least 2 years of experience, which is the minimum requirement. He scores 3 on Workday and SAP, but no experience with specific document management and presentation software as mentioned in the CV. It scored him 3 on skills, saying he has skills in recruitment but lacks required skills like judgment and decision making as reflected in the job description. Total score is 22, which gave him 61%. The highest in this list is a 73 and an 86. We have a Julia Chen and we have a Laura Garcia who at 86, and we have Mohammed Khan at 73. We have another 86, Rosa Delgado, and we have another 86, Tara Evans. So we would have out of these 20, if we take the 85 and above, we have about 4 good candidates according to this data. Now you can deploy this using different jobs, which means it is relatively generic, but the tool is designed to identify the key result areas, map the duties and responsibilities and key skills. So if you want a more robust output, you have to have a more robust job description. I think that's where we are at for this. And as I said, if you want to deploy this, reach us at Phoenix Fortunes. Drop me a WhatsApp, drop me a message, and let's get you automated. And for those who are recruiters, yeah, you got to get on top of your game. Otherwise, AI is here and it is here to stay. Thank you. Looking forward to meeting you for the next lesson. Bye for now.